I don't go into a studio like, I gotta make the next biggest hit. Like I go into the studio like, all my friends are in the studio with me. Let me make a song for them to all enjoy, for us to all sing the words to together when it's done.
Herzlich willkommen auf hiphop.de, mein Name ist ARIA, ich bin heute hier in Köln im Palladium auf dem Auftritt von Lord, die als Voract, als Warm-Up quasi einen ganz, ganz speziellen, besonderen Gast dabei hat, der am 3. März dieses Jahres sein Debütalbum American Teen gedroppt hat, im Alter von 18 Jahren. Khalid, how you doing, man?
What's up? Hey, how are you doing?
Did you understand anything of what I was saying?
Not at all.
Let's get to it. The first thing that baffled me when I stumbled upon your song Location last year was that you lived in Germany for 6 years, man. So I thought maybe some of it just...
a little bit. The crazy thing about like the culture shock from living in Germany for such a long part of my life, 6 years, is crazy. Moving back to America, when I had moved to America, I feel like I was so shook because I expected people to be speaking German around me and nobody was speaking German. So then I had to learn a completely different language, which was Spanish. So I learned Spanish and then all of my German just went away. It's gone.
Too bad, man. But maybe it's somewhere still there. You gotta reactivate it at some point in your life.
In the back of my head, maybe one day I'll go in and I'll learn. One of my best friends is actually a German native. He was born and raised in Germany. So he speaks all the time and I don't know anything that he's saying.
Plus, it's kind of far away from English. Plus, it's a very difficult language.
It's hard. It's definitely one of the hardest languages in the world.
Now, let's get to it. You're here, warming up for Lord on her tour, which is amazing. You've been on a world tour yourself this year, last year, and everything, sold-out concerts and whatnot. How's it different? How's the experience different from you being on tour yourself to touring with Lord, seeing her crowds, her, everything? Just
for me, I feel like it's a learning process because I have to put myself out of my comfortability, which is my intermediate fan group. I have to take myself out of that and I have to put myself, okay, now I'm performing for someone else's fans. So at first it's very hard because you don't really expect them to be that receptive because they're not just here for you, they're here for Lord. And the Lord is amazing. Like Lord is one of the best performers that I've seen live. She's so talented. So I also learn from her as well because I look at how she performs on the stage and how she floats on the stage and how she makes it her own. And so hopefully when I come back overseas, which is in February, I'm coming back over here in February. I'm going on tour. Hopefully I get to use everything that she taught me into my performance by myself.
Plus maybe you some people that are in the crowd today see, man, he's pretty fucking good. I might, And
then they become a fan, and then I build more fans that way, so it's dope. And I mean, nothing is cooler than performing before one of my biggest influences anyway.
We're going to talk about that also. You've also been on tour with Travis Scott in the States, so how's that different? That's another experience right there with this, completely different from touring with Lord probably.
Oh yeah, Travis and Lord, I feel like those are two different sides of each spectrum. Like Travis is very hype, so when I watched him, it definitely allowed me to have more energy on stage, allowed me to be more comfortable. But Lord is she's hype, but she's very smooth, just cool, just silky, floaty. So like for me, it allowed me to be like, okay, turn it down a little bit and just float across the stage, just make the stage your own.
That's a good mixture. It's great to see all this inspiration from different people, Now, you're just 19. That's crazy. When you watch your videos, when I came across Location, plus your album this year, it's amazing to see that you're 19. I think probably when you recorded Location, you were 18?
Around 17, 18 years old.
That's incredible. Now with all these platinum singles, gold album, whatever, do you sometimes take a step back and just try to look, if it's even possible, try to look at the situation from afar because you tend to maybe lose yourself in the situation and not realize?
All the time I feel like I have to separate myself as the artist and as the person. Even though they're so similar, there's still a separation. How I talk to my friends is not necessarily how I could talk to every fan. I can't be like, yo, what's up, dude? To my fans and all that stuff. So I dumb that down, but at the same time, like I have so much fun being able to just be me. Just seeing all the accomplishments and going back and just giving that to my friends and my family. Every platinum plaque, whatever, goes straight to my mom's house. Doesn't even go to my house. I don't see it, you know?
Right.
I see it when I go by and visit, you know, when I won Best New Artist, you know, when I won at the Woodies as well, straight to my mom's house. It's there because I don't need to be surrounded by that, you know? Like, I love being normal. I love listening. I love being a fan of other artists. I love listening to music. I love hanging out. And I can't really do that anymore, but I pull that from my friends. The people I surround myself with, I pull my normalcy. Every time I go back home, when I'm in my house, when I'm inside my house, completely normal.
It's normal.
Yeah.
Now, you said in other interviews that you started writing and, you know, recording songs at the age of 17, and then all of a sudden, with Location, at the age of 18, boom, there's a success. Did it go, well, I mean, of course it did go much faster than you expected, but how was it at that moment when you realized, oh, Location is taking off? How kind of feeling was that?
It was a crazy feeling. For me, I wrote Location and it came out around the middle point of my senior year, my last year of high school. So when it came out, a lot of the people in the city kind of knew about it. It was a in the city type thing. So I'm walking around the city, I'm like, wow, like people are listening to my songs. And then there was a transition, which was around my graduation day. Kylie Jenner played it on her Snapchat. You know, all these other artists and football players and models and are finding the song and they're playing it on their Snapchat. And I'm like, wait, this isn't just a in the city thing anymore. This is a across the globe situation. I was like, this is ridiculous. But it was exciting because, you know, I could have been lazy and I could have just took that and be like, look, I got it. I got a hit, you know, I got a hit single. I'm good. I could rest. For me, I was like, nah, I got to work harder because now I have to match the success of the single. And I got to let these people know that I'm not just a single artist, that I'm more, I have more dimensions. And luckily, I feel like I've been doing a good job of keeping music rolling out.
Did you ever find out how Kylie Jenner got, you know, kind of across your song, or why she decided to play that, or even come across that, you know?
For me, I feel like that was the SoundCloud era, you know? SoundCloud was huge. So you find a song on SoundCloud, you click next and you might find another song. So I don't know how she found it. Jordan Woods, you know, one of her good friends, probably showed it to her, who knows, you know? But she found it and she took the time to play it. So when I met her, I thanked her. I thanked Jordan because they didn't have to do that, but they did.
Now, what was the point, what was the moment when you realized, okay, all these songs that I'm doing after Location, they're kind of shaping up to a full body of work? Probably somewhere between that time also there was a label situation, everything. When was the time that you realized, okay, I got a full body, full project going on here?
For me, I want to say I had half of the album done before I signed to any label. You know, right when I wrote Location, I wrote Shot Down off of my album. I wrote Hopeless off of my album. I wrote American Teen off of my album. I wrote songs that made the album, you know. So many songs that made the album. And after the success of Location, I was like, all right, now I have to finish this project and I have to allow people to realize that I'm not just Location. And even though Location is a vibe and it's whatever it is, I was like, that's not just me. I'm more than that. So that's when I had to step back. I'm like, okay, finishing the album, what do I need? What are the sounds that I need? Luckily, I had the most fun in my life creating that album. Everything was super genuine, so it's almost like the album wrote itself.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, though, to look back at a project and be like, okay, I had fun, and this is generally what I really wanted it to be, and not, you know, something that somebody
not making something that I feel like people, you know, were going to like. It was just me making something that I feel like I liked.
Now, you were talking about your inspirations a lot in interviews, whether it be Lord or whether it be Kendrick, on who's the Hard Part 4. I think you kind of ended up there with a vocal appearance. How is it to work with these people that you list as, you know, inspirations? Are you a fan of these artists and then going on tour with them, working on their songs?
Ridiculous. It's surreal. First time I met Kendrick Lamar, I didn't show it to him, but I was definitely in shock. I'm like, wow. You know, someone who... Because like I said, I'm 19 and I'm a fan. So I listen to music all the time and I sing music at the top of my lungs. And then I get put into situations where I have to go to award shows or go wherever. And I have to meet them and they're coming up to me as a fan. And I'm like, I'm like, wow, you know, I'm like, I can't believe this, that they're coming up to me, they're showing their appreciation, they're showing their love, and I've been a devoted listener for years. So it's insane, but it's cool. Like, it just shows I feel like, shows the success that I've been making for myself, and it's probably the best reward.
Yeah, I can imagine how that, I can't imagine, better to say that, to how it feels when Kendrick comes up. Plus, he's kind of small, so it kind of baffles you when you see Kendrick, and he's kind of...
Nah, he's definitely, I'm 5'8". I'm not the tallest in the world, so sometimes I'll meet people and I'm like, wow, you know, I feel like everybody looks way bigger on screen. Everybody looks huge, and then you meet them in person, you're like, oh wait, Cardi B is actually super short. Wow. You know, it's like, it's like crazy. Yeah, they
kind of seem like superheroes until you meet them. You're like, oh right, they're human beings too, of course, right?
I know, but I love that feeling of just like, meeting people who you just respect so much. Because me, I don't hold my tongue for anything. I show my appreciation. I'm like, look, I love what you did with this, with this, with this. I don't need to hold my tongue. I don't need to, act a certain way. If I like something, I'm gonna let somebody know I like it.
Yeah. You talked about your mother also a lot, who took you kind of around the globe on all these stations, Kentucky, El Paso, Heidelberg, which we're going to talk about later. Plus, she's a singer, and you kind of talked about how she's your inspiration in a human way, but also maybe in a music way. Did she have any influences, any inspiration on your album, and in terms of musical decisions to say, okay, maybe you should sing that way or this way? Or is she completely separated from that part?
I try to separate her as much as I can, because I feel like even though she's one of my biggest inspirations, it's like when you're telling your truth and your mom is just hawking over you like, what else have you been doing that I don't know about? I'm over here like, yeah, my car smells like weed, and my mom's like, but actually she was in the studio when I had wrote Location, and I had went to her and I asked for her help. I'm like, what should I do with this part? She's like, do this. I did it, and it stuck, and it's in the song. So like moments like that, I show my mom, I have to boss up, and I show my mom every single song that I make. And she's my biggest critic. She'll tell me if she likes it. She'll tell me if she dislikes it. She hasn't told me that she hated a song yet, so I feel like I'm doing something right.
Yeah. Obviously, you're doing something right. I mean, come on. Now, with this young age, coming into the industry, being like this raw kind of talent, singing, songwriting, how do you maneuver now through all the industry things, being part, it's a fact you're part of this big whole, singer-songwriter world in this US scene. How do you maneuver through these things?
Being young, I mean, I wouldn't say I feel intimidation, but I feel like a lot of people acknowledge my age and they're like, okay, he's 19.
Yeah, right.
So I have to work harder to not never to impress, but to showcase myself, to kind of fight against myself. I'm like, look, you're 19, but you're beating the odds. When I had made this album before it came out, I was like, look, it's gonna come out. And in my mind, I manifested, I was like, it's gonna have this much success and you're gonna do this. But then I had to realize, okay, you're 19. You gotta work way harder than any other 19-year-old your age. You gotta work so hard, and so I did. And now I'm competing with people who aren't 19. And now I'm going against people who aren't 19. But it's friendly competition, because this is just, it's fun for me. Like, making music is fun. Like, I don't go into a studio like, I gotta make the next biggest hit. Like, I go into the studio like, all my friends are in the studio with me. Let me make a song for them to all enjoy, for us to all sing the words to together when it's done. Let me make music that I could play in the car when I want to vibe, when I want to, once I kept that in mind, and once I started making music for myself and for my friends, things got way easier. Moving through the industry is way easier because I become friends with the people I work with. It's all about friendship, about compatibility, about chemistry. If I'm friends with somebody and we make something, it's gonna feel way better and it's gonna mean way more than if we were placed together.
Right. Now what comes out of that is smash hits like the one with Logic and Alessia Cara, but which both kind of are, Alessia Cara is a newcomer, Logic is still a pretty young guy, but also smash hits like the one you did with Calvin Harris and Future, which is a whole nother realm, because Future is like, the godfather of the sound that's happening right now, and Calvin Harris has like a huge influence. How was that, how do you compare these two songs, for example, these two collaborations with each other? It's
crazy because Calvin Harris and I are really good friends, and I mean, I'm definitely a huge fan. I could take myself back to when I was a little kid in Germany, listening to Bounce by Calvin Harris on repeat, walking down the street with both of my best friends, you know? Yeah. And then you meet someone and you have a conversation, you get to know them, and I feel like that's way more, it's way better. Before we worked, we sat and we talked. You know, we had a long conversation just about our sound, about what we were into, about what we liked, about our background, about where we grew up on, you know? And so building that, it allowed me to create the song. And the reason why I was so floaty while I felt like I was floating on the track was because he's over there creating the backbone of the record, and we're friends now. So I'm like, look, anything I do, he's gonna back me up on this, and he did. Like, that's one of my favorite songs. Dow, Logic, and Alicia are also two of my really good friends, and so I had met them off of Twitter as well. And so I'm talking to Logic, and I played my album before it came out, and he played me his album before it came out.
So you knew where he's going.
We knew, we had an understanding of each other. We were like, okay, this is your sound, this is my sound. And he's like, well, you know, he introduced me to the record. He was like, would you be willing to work on this? And it's such a powerful record. And I was like, yes, of course. You know, I would love to work on a song like that with him. And he's one of my best friends. He's so awesome. Alicia is so awesome too. Everybody who I work with is genuinely awesome, and that's why I work with him.
Now, going back to what we started out with, you being in Heidelberg and also having all these other stations from, I think, you know, growing up in Kentucky, coming over to Germany, going back to El Paso, Texas. Now, I don't know where you are right now, probably somewhere LA or whatever. What do you take away from all these stations as a human being, maybe even as an artist? Like, do you feel you're kind of a mixture of all these influences at the end of the day?
You meet so many different people with so many different stories, so many different backgrounds. And so you learn so much. And for me, I take a part of everywhere I go. And so I might take a part of the personalities that I surrounded myself with when I was in Germany. You know, and it's crazy because it shapes the music that I listen to. I got introduced to folk music when I lived in New York. And so I was...
When was that?
I want to say that was around almost 5-6 years ago, you know? And so I'm over here listening to Father John Misty and Fleetwood Mac and all these, you know, heavy folk just sounds, and it influenced the way that I sang. You know, I got introduced to James Blake around that time as well, you know, and like influencing my consonants and my accents and all that stuff within my music. And living in Germany, listening to all this dance music, you know, all this hype music influenced me as well. Moving to El Paso, listening to a lot more, you know, Latin-driven records definitely influenced the way that I sing and my sound. And so I'm so appreciative that I was able to be military and I was able to live in all these different places, because if it wasn't for that, then I would not be me. I would not be here.
Right. All of that is part of who you are today. Now, with all these influences and also having like a couple of smash hits in your back pocket right now with Location and the Logic record, which went, I think, to #3. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you not kind of sense or kind of know when you have a potential hit on your hands in the studio, when you know, touch on different sounds or different, you know, melodies? Do you know when it's got the potential?
For me, if I could leave the studio or whoever's house and I could play a song on repeat from that studio to my house, and I'm genuinely, I know, you know, you have a feeling, it's something in my heart. Marshmello song, Calvin Harris, Logic, my own song, Young, Dumb and Broke, Location. You know, all of these songs that were on the Billboard, you know, Hot 100 at the same time. You know, all of these songs are all songs that I left the studio to my house listening to on repeat over and over. It's a feeling.
Yeah. Now, you talked a lot about the sound of the album American Teen being so sad, being so melancholic, just because it, you know, kind of mirrors who you were at that moment. Now, since the album, you've been gathering whole different experiences than the time before that. Is that a chance your next album might be, you know, in a slightly different direction? Maybe we could go in happy, go in hyped, go in party, you know, whatever.
For me, it's definitely going to be a different sound. I'm having the time of my life right now, but at the same time, it is the most difficult time of my life right now. So there's definitely, I don't really like too much happy shit. So I'm probably not gonna have everything be majority happy, but I've definitely had moments of happiness. So I want to showcase that within the album. But I've definitely had moments of loneliness that I want to showcase within the album. Just staying true to myself and also telling my friends' stories as well. You know, going through what my friends are going through, because what they feel, I feel. So it's about just telling stories just from the heart and meeting fans. You know, meeting fans, talking to fans, having conversations, learning about what's going on with their life and how they got introduced to my music. I kind of want to incorporate that within the music that I create as well.
Yeah, I mean, loneliness, of course, you might go on tour and still be lonely around the world. And so, yeah. You also talked about the Grammys coming up, and you want to win a Grammy someday in your life. Maybe that album, the first album, being the one that snatches it. I think the nominations are going to roll out in a couple of days or weeks.
Look, honestly, it's exciting, and hopefully I get nominated for anything. I feel like regardless of even if I win or if I don't win, it's about the fact that I told myself 3 to 4 years ago, I want to go to the Grammys one day, and I worked my ass off. And I didn't know that anything like this was gonna happen, and it did. You know, it's a blessing. And so, even just sitting in a chair in the audience at the Grammys, I would live my childhood dream. But definitely, I gotta keep working. You know, and hopefully this album, it would be so dope or so cool to say at the age of 19. You know, where that's rare. Under the age of 20. Right. You know.
You don't find a lot of people in that audience.
You know, at the age of 19, I won a Grammy off of a debut album. Yeah. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, not a lot of people who can say. I think Lord, did she get a Grammy?
Lord won a Grammy, yes, and I'm so proud of her that she won. My friend Joe Little actually helped me produce the album, and he has the Grammy sitting in his house, and I loved looking at it. I took a picture with it, so hopefully that's a blessing too.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, I'm gonna be cheering for you. Hope you get nominated and win that thing. It would you would earn it, man. Really. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it, Khalid in Germany. Thanks for your time, man. Have fun on stage. I'm happy to see you tear that stage, or move silky around that stage.
Silky. Hey, okay.
Hip-Hop Day, ihr wisst Bescheid. Peace.